7 gardening tools you must stop buying. You walk into a garden center, and something happens to you that happens to almost every gardener on Earth. You see a gleaming new tool with a clever handle, a promising label, or a bold claim printed on the packaging, and you think, this is the one that will finally make gardening easier. You buy it, you take it home, you use it twice, and then it joins the silent graveyard of tools hanging in your shed, collecting dust, taking up space, quietly costing you money you'll never get back. Here is what the gardening industry does not want you to realize. Most of what fills those store shelves is not designed to help you grow better. It is designed to sell. And the professionals, the master gardeners, the commercial growers, the horticulturalists who tend thousands of plants without breaking a sweat, they know exactly which tools are worth every penny and which ones are nothing more than expensive plastic fantasies. By the end of this video, you will know what they know. You will never walk into a garden center the same way again. The first tool you need to stop buying is the electric leaf blower for garden beds. This sounds almost controversial, because leaf blowers are everywhere. Every suburban driveway, every landscaping crew, every autumn Saturday, they are constants. And yes, for clearing a driveway or a large open patio, they have their place. But in your garden beds, experienced horticulturalists will tell you that a leaf blower in a planted bed is essentially a chaos machine. It scatters mulch, disturbs the soil surface, exposes shallow roots, and sends your carefully placed organic matter into the neighbor's yard. A simple bamboo rake does the same job in less time, with more precision, and it costs almost nothing. Stop paying for power you do not need. The second tool is the battery-powered garden tiller. Now here is where things get genuinely surprising, because tilling sounds like exactly the kind of thing that should require a machine. Conventional wisdom says, you must break up the soil before planting. Dig it, turn it, loosen it. This belief is so widespread that entire product categories exist around it. But soil scientists, and this is a finding that has fundamentally shifted how serious gardeners operate, have discovered that repeated tilling destroys the fungal networks living beneath your feet. These mycorrhizal networks are, in effect, the internet of your garden. They connect plant roots, transfer nutrients, and support everything growing above ground. Every time you run a tiller through your beds, you are literally ripping that network apart. The no-dig gardening movement, championed by experts like Charles Dowding, has demonstrated through years of documented trials that untilled beds consistently outperform tilled ones in yield, in soil health, and in weed suppression. That expensive tiller is not improving your garden. It is quietly destroying it. The third tool is the single-purpose bulb planter. You have seen this one. A cylindrical metal tube with a handle designed exclusively for planting bulbs. It seems efficient. It seems clever. It is neither. Professional gardeners use a standard trowel for bulbs, for transplanting seedlings, for making furrows, for 100 other tasks. The bulb planter does one thing, does it imperfectly. It frequently gets stuck in compacted or clay-heavy soil, and then sits unused for 11 months of the year. This is the fundamental trap of single-purpose garden tools. Every time you buy something that only does one job, you are paying full price for a fraction of the value. Your trowel already plants bulbs. You do not need another tool. The fourth tool is the expandable garden hose. This one stings a little because the marketing is so convincing. Lightweight, compact, no kinks. The television advertisements show them working flawlessly under perfect conditions. But ask anyone who has owned more than one of these hoses, and you will hear the same story repeated with remarkable consistency. The inner membrane fails, usually within a single season. The connection fittings crack or leak. The expanding material weakens under UV exposure. Consumer reviews across every major retailer confirm a pattern that experienced gardeners discovered years ago. A quality rubber hose, maintained properly, will outlast 5 or 6 expandable hoses and provide stronger, more consistent water pressure throughout. You are paying premium prices for a tool engineered to look impressive, not to last. A traditional rubber hose is less exciting to buy and infinitely more reliable to own. The fifth tool is the electric pruning shear. Now, there is a specific context where powered pruning tools make sense. Commercial orchards managing hundreds of trees, or gardeners with mobility limitations that make manual tools genuinely difficult to use. But for the average home gardener, these battery-powered shears are heavy. They require charging. They demand maintenance. And they remove the tactile feedback that tells an experienced pruner exactly how much pressure a cut requires. Master pruners will explain that the feel of a cut matters. The resistance you sense through a quality bypass pruner tells you whether you are cutting through dead wood or live tissue, through clean growth or diseased material. That feedback disappears with motorized tools. A pair of high-carbon steel bypass pruners, sharpened and cleaned regularly, will outperform any electric shear for residential pruning tasks. And they will still be working perfectly in 20 years. The sixth tool is the raised bed kit with thin-gauge corrugated metal or compressed wood panels. This is perhaps the most expensive mistake on this list, because raised beds feel like an investment. They look beautiful in the catalogue, but structural engineers and experienced market gardeners will tell you that cheap raised bed materials fail in predictable ways. Thin corrugated metal warps under soil pressure and temperature fluctuation. Compressed wood panels absorb moisture and begin deteriorating within 2 to 3 seasons. You will spend time assembling them, filling them with quality soil, growing successfully for a season or two, and then watching the structure fail around the very plants you are trying to support. The professional standard for raised beds is thick-walled cedar, Douglas fir, or powder-coated steel at appropriate gauge. It costs more initially, but when you calculate the cost over 10 years of use versus replacing cheap beds every few seasons, the math is not even close. Buy quality once, or prepare to buy mediocrity repeatedly. The seventh tool, and this is the one that surprises people most, is the multi-attachment garden tool system. These products promise everything. One handle, 15 heads, a hoe, a rake, a cultivator, a weeder, all snapping onto a universal pole. The concept is compelling. The execution almost always disappoints. Horticultural professionals note that interchangeable attachment systems introduce mechanical weakness precisely where rigidity matters most. The connection point between handle and head is the point of maximum stress during use. On a solid, single-piece tool, that stress is distributed through the entire structure. On a modular system, it concentrates at the joint, which loosens, wobbles, and eventually fails. What sounds like 5 tools in one is frequently 5 mediocre tools in one. Experienced growers use fewer tools, not more. A quality hoe, a quality rake, a quality trowel, and a quality fork will handle 90% of everything a garden requires, and none of them will wobble. Here is the larger truth that all 7 of these tools point toward, and it is the insight that separates thriving gardens from struggling ones. The gardening industry profits from the belief that more equipment creates better results. It does not. The gardeners who consistently produce the most extraordinary results, the ones whose beds overflow with produce, whose flowers return stronger every year, whose soil deepens and darkens season after season, are almost always working with fewer tools, simpler tools, and better chosen tools than their neighbors. The mythology of gardening says that the right gadget will solve your problems. The reality of gardening says that your hands, your observation, your patience, and 4 or 5 exceptional tools will outperform any collection of specialty equipment ever assembled. Every tool you stop buying is money redirected toward better soil, better seeds, better plants. Every shed you stop filling with things that do not work is a shed that leaves room for the things that do. If this kind of grounded, practical approach to growing is something you want more of, make sure you subscribe, because there is a great deal more conventional gardening wisdom that deserves to be questioned. The best garden you will ever grow will not be built in a garden center. It will be built in the quiet decision to stop buying what you do not need, and to deeply trust what you already have.